out of Google.
There we go. Oh, okay. Once you're good, just
Yeah, but it's still doing it. Video unavailable. This video is private. Oh wow. What?
well, I've got the message that the webinar is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, so whatever. Yeah. We'll
don't
find
think
it
it's
later. I found that you can search for the CPO 1 September 2023 meeting
right.
on Google and actually find the link. So,
Nice.
all right, let's see who else needs to be a panelist. Brian.
Yeah.
And Justin Dyke. Okay. TKWC. I don't know what that is. Okay, folks. So if you're a panelist and you're not, you haven't been called on, please just turn your camera and mic off, and we'll get to you when it's your turn.
I was going to say, do you want to make me a co-host, Virginia?
Yes, I will.
And then I can help you out here with bringing people on.
Yay.
Once you get started. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Brian, can you turn your camera off, please? I can do it for him. No, I can't.
It shows that my camera is off.
Yeah, but you're still showing up on the screen.
Huh. Let's see.
Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started because this is getting boring for everybody that isn't us. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we will do our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the people on whose land we live, the Atfality Kalapuyans, also known as the Tualatin Band of Kalapuyans, the first inhabitants of Washington County. We are grateful for the land we are on, Kalapuyan land. Signers of the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 were removed from their homelands to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. Today, their descendants are tribal members of Grand Ronde and Siletz tribes, carrying on the traditions and cultures of their ancestors. We acknowledge and express gratitude for the ancestors of this place, and we recognize that we are here because of the sacrifices forced upon them. In remembering these communities, we honor their legacy, their lives, and their continuation in our community. I invite all of us to reflect on the role government has played in the resilience. I'm sorry, something grabbed my attention. I invite all of us to reflect on the role government has played in the painful colonial history and reflect as well on the resilience and healing of the indigenous land and communities. We invite everyone to collaborate and work together with the tribes to take care of the land and water and the people who inhabit these spaces. And I like to remind ourselves that that's part of what we do as a CPO, is to try to take care of the land and the water. So I will stop my screen share. Oh, I know what the problem is. There we go. Brian, why are you the speaker? You're not. I'm the speaker. Is everybody seeing the screen filled with Brian Fogg's name? Hello?
No, I see like all the different participants, and most of us are blacked out.
It looks normal.
There. I'll just pin myself for now. This is, I guess Zoom was down for a while today, so I think we should just be thankful it's running. If there are any attendees that need to be promoted to panelists, raise your theoretical hand and Nicole will take care of that. Okay, so the agenda. And the first thing we'll do is a service provider update. And I know that we have Tualatin Hills Park and Rec. So let's have her go first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Paulson. I am your representative for Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District. I am a park planner with the district. I'm going to talk to you about some upcoming events and some things that we've got going on at the district. I will also put my name and contact information in the chat if you do need to email me at a future time for anything. So a couple things we really just want to let you know about is we have Welcoming Week actually happening now through the 17th, and it's a nationwide effort to welcome immigrant and refugee community members through inclusive cultural community gatherings. And we are partnering on 6 different events. You can check our website for details. In our area here, we have on September 13th, which is tomorrow, is Zumba from around the world at Cedar Hills Rec Center from 6 to 7:30 if you're interested. We also, in our nature and trails update, we are still working on construction of wetland and pond enhancements at the Bronson Creek Greenway. We also have applications available, openings for our 3 advisory committees. So our parks and facilities, programs and events, and nature and trails advisory committees, as well as our district's budget committee. So if you're interested, feel free to apply. That's open till October 23rd, and there's more information on our website. Let's see, we've got lots of adult fall softball and volleyball leagues happening. And we also have drop-in pickleball now at Conestoga and the Aquatic Center. So the schedule for that is online. And as Virginia will likely bring up, we have also our Cedar Mill Cider Festival happening September 24th from 12:30 to 4 p.m., which is a beloved event in the community. As I was talking with Virginia earlier, she's got a lot of good updates and some good vendors coming. So I'll let you speak to that a little bit more, Virginia. The last thing I really wanted to mention is that we have a budget update and a levy task force happening. So THPRD is looking at options to stabilize our funding for park and recreation services and to maintain our current service levels. So we are looking at an upcoming $16 million gap in our funding, and that's representing about 21% of our budget. So without that additional funding, we would need to close facilities and or reduce recreation services and staffing. With that, we don't want to do that. So THPRD has established a levy task force of community members to advise the board on the next steps in how we want to move forward and address some of those budget scenarios. So if you're interested more in that, you're more than welcome to email or to look on our website and find out more about our levy. And that's all I have. Are there any questions for me?
I'm curious if you could share a little bit about the Jenkins Estates gardening activities that master gardeners are doing. What?
You know, are you, my question, I guess, to clarify is, are you looking in general what the master gardeners do up there, or is there something specific that you're interested in?
General.
So I know a little bit about it. I'm not super well versed in what they do, but the master gardeners do have a large plot or a large area up at the Jenkins Estate. If you haven't been up there, you should go. It's very cool. It is open to the public. You get to look through it. And there's a small, basically demonstration garden area opportunities that you can learn from, whether that's like low impact or rain gardens, if there's edible planting. So they've got little pockets, pollinator gardens. And the master gardeners do actually collectively as a group kind of have ownership and maintenance of that area. But it is something to learn from and really neat to go up and take a look at.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. All right, let me see now. Oh, there's my time agenda. It keeps disappearing. Come back, agenda, come back. There it is. What's it doing over there? All right, so do we have someone from Tualatin Valley Fire? Nope. How about Water District? We're going to hear plenty from them, so we'll wait. Tabitha, I think I saw you on there. Tabitha Alkire? There
Yes.
we go.
Hi,
Hi.
Virginia. Hi, everyone. I am Tabitha. I'm with Washington County Sheriff's Office with our Public Affairs team. We just have some brief updates with kids getting back into school and everyone kind of getting back into a normal routine. We do want to remind to plan a safe route to and from school. Remind your kiddos to, bike in a well-lit area, also walk on the sidewalks. Listen, look, and be seen are kind of our three mottos. So make sure you're looking both ways when you're crossing the street, listening to cars, and being seen, so being visible, as it slowly will get darker here soon. And then if your kid does ride to school or you even ride to work, brush up on your bicycle safety, wear a helmet, wear something bright, make sure you're telling the turn signals with your hands to the best of your ability. If there is no bike path, make sure you're biking on the right side of the road. So those are just some general safety tips with us going back to school and kind of getting back in a normal routine for a lot of people. We do have our community survey is out. It went out August 30th, and then it will be ending on September 15th. And the community survey is really important for us to get any insight on what you would like to see happen with the sheriff's office operations, what you'd like to see with public safety. I will put the community survey in the chat here, but if you're not able to access the chat, you can access it on our website on the homepage of the Washington County Sheriff's Office. So it's right on the homepage. And then lastly, we do have Coffee with the Cop coming up here in the beginning of October. We don't necessarily have one quite in your district. The closest one will be Bethany. So there will be one in Bethany. It is at the Bethany Starbucks on October 4th from 10 a.m. to 11:30. So it's the main Starbucks in the Bethany Pavilion area. And we will have a flyer that will go out, and I will send that to Virginia as soon as it is made. Our two other ones are going to be in Cornelius and Aloha. So they're not quite as close to your district, but you are, of course, welcome to attend that, and it will show on the flyer as soon as that is made. And then I will share our calls for service map, but unfortunately our deputy is not available tonight. So it's more kind of just looking at the map. This was August calls for service map here. I will also send this to Virginia, so if anyone wants to take a look at this, you can take a little further look. But this is kind of what's going on in your area for August, and I will always note this is calls for service. This is not necessarily crimes. Always, these are people calling for help or to have a follow-up. It can be non-emergency or 911, but sometimes not necessarily a crime has occurred, to make that very clear.
I have a question, folks. I've been very remiss in posting these to the CPO one Facebook page, which is our best choice since we don't have control over anything at the county. Have people been wanting to see them, to come back and look at them later? Raise your hand if you've been missing it. Anyway.
All right.
Okay. And Tabitha, I need text to be able to put it in the paper. A flyer is nice, but we can't pick the text out of a PDF that easily. So
Okay, will do.
you can send the flyer too.
Sure. We will do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't see anybody from Clean Water Services or the school district or TVF&R. If I'm missing someone, let me know. But I believe that brings our community partners presentation part of it to an end. So I will pin myself again. And I have a few updates for folks. We still need help, as I just mentioned, updating the Facebook page and managing the YouTube. You can see how we were struggling earlier tonight. And if we just have one person who can help us out with that, it's once a month. The Facebook page is really only transferring our agenda and event information to the Facebook page and maybe doing a few updates. Bruce and I both update the CPO1 Facebook page on a regular basis. But just getting the event put up there, I just put the description of the event up today. So we need help. Please, somebody give us, a few hours of time every month and make the community better for your friends and neighbors. The July meeting, I'll put that link up now. If you want to go back and watch the July meeting, we always take August off, and so we did. So the July meeting was our last one. The CPO news from the September issue is here. And I had a, what is that? I'll just share my screen briefly so you can see that if you haven't. I'm plugging Cedar Mill News because it's your best source of information for CPO stuff, not because, well, I like people to know about the Cedar Mill News. And so there was a meeting last night about the proposed redevelopment of the Peter Court Town Square, but I was busy at the ER and I didn't go. I hope somebody did, but I will make sure to get some notes from them anyway. So please subscribe to the Cedar Mill News and check out the CPO news on there. And yes, the Cider Festival is coming right up. It feels like a train heading down the tracks towards me, but it's really going to be good this time. We've got so many good things happening. We thought we'd lost our hard cider provider. Reverend Nat is just going out of business and will not be at the Cider Festival, among other things. But we reached out to Portland Cider Company and they're jumping on. We've got Ferdy's Barbecue with wonderful, delicious barbecue lunch. We're probably going to have ice cream and fresh pop kettle corn, in addition to all the rest of the good food we have. And of course, the fresh pressed cider. Ken Finley completely reconditioned his cider press. And so we'll have that and another one, and we'll have our regular team of Boy Scouts scrunching up 1,000 pounds of apples that will be donated by Market of Choice this year. They're a really wonderful partner to have coming on board with us. And then we've got some great craft and personal products and all sorts of a variety of vendors and some people sharing information. And of course, my favorite, the history tent, with out in front of the history tent will be right about here where these ladies are standing in the road. And of course, live music by Lauren Sheehan and her friends, and these absolutely adorable cups that we had made with our brand new logo. And we got stainless steel reusable cups so that we don't have to generate so much paper. And they'll be available this coming weekend on Saturday at the farmers market, and then they'll be available at the event, and they're 1 for $6 or 2 for $10. And you can also get them online. I failed to copy that link, but you don't want to buy cups tonight. You can find that information in the Cedar Mill News. Let's see. Yes, we did a survey. The CCI was trying to gauge how CCI members value the CPO system, what we expect of it, what we'd like to see. And we'd like for you CPO members to also take the survey. It's fairly long, but it isn't that hard to do. And you're welcome to skip any of the questions, and you don't have to identify yourself. It's completely, pardon me, completely anonymous. But we'd love to get some more feedback from CPO members. So copy that off. It's also in the CPO news, in the Cedar Mill news. So please give us your opinions. Update from the OEICE will be, so I'm sure most of you have been following along that OEICE wants to redefine the CPOs and the CCI. They call it a re-envisioning. And they made a presentation in May, I believe it was, to the Board of County Commissioners, and they were told to go back to the drawing board. And so they've been at the drawing board for a while.
OEICE what?
What?
OEICE is what?
Oh, Office of Equity,
Inclusion.
Inclusion and Community Engagement.
It
And
manages the CPO program.
it manages the CCI and the CPO program, thanks to a process that after the OSU extension decided they couldn't manage it, there was a managed process and it ended up with the county. And then first it was the CAO that managed us, and then community engagement was created and they managed us. And then OEICE was created and they managed us. And we're just not sure what's going to happen, but we're going to find out on October 3rd. So I'm going to copy this and put this whole thing into the chat, which is that there will be a CPO program update at the Board of County Commissioners work session on October 3rd. The details are not on the website yet, but this is the link they will appear on. And believe us, we'll post it on the CPO1 webpage, and I might even send out an email to the people that are on our CPO1 email list. And maybe we can even get the county to do that, because this is super important. I mean, well, you know how passionate I am about community involvement. That's why I'm here. And I hope some of you are too. And the future of community involvement in Washington County is happening here. So that's enough of that. And that brings us to the open mic part of the meeting. So if any of the members in the audience or anybody in the panelists or anybody has any comments or comments about what I've been talking about, or questions about any damn thing, particularly if it pertains to CPO1, but you know, meaning of life, whatever you want. Anybody have any questions? I don't see any hands going up. Okay. Well, we're ahead of time. 7:45. Wow, we're way ahead of time. Do we have our people from the school?
We do not.
We do not. But we do have our folks from Tuolumne Valley Water District. Do you guys want to jump in? We're going too fast.
Let's do the sewer. Let's do Brian Fogg and the sewer project first.
The septic.
Septic.
Yeah, can we go ahead and jump onto that?
Yeah, I can
Great.
go ahead and do that.
Excellent. Okay, Brian Fogg is with the Housing Rehabilitation Specialist with Washington County, and they do all kinds of good things. They help seniors and others like patch their roofs and stuff to keep people in livable habitation. But there's a new program called the On-Site Septic Financial Aid Program, and I know that there's a lot of septic in CPO1. Up here in Bonnie Slope, I think most of the houses had septic before all the new development happened. Some folks have had the chance to hook up to sewer, but there's a lot of septic systems up there. And Bruce just recently got into this program himself. I'm going to go ahead and post the program link, and Brian can take it from there.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Everyone
Thanks
see
for
that?
coming, Brian. This is fascinating. And thanks for letting us know about this. I'm sure everybody that has septic at least will be really interested.
Yeah, so just a brief overview of what I'm going to cover today is some of how the urban policies work with septic and sewer tanks and sewer connections. The DEQ financial aid program that Clean Water Services applied for and got, and then jointly partnered with my office to implement. And then how we kind of determined where these projects are and how we did our outreach and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and continue. That's just the program. So septic and sanitary sewers in the urban area, under Oregon state regulations, if your property is within 300 feet of an existing sewer line, you are required to connect to it without any, if an exception is not granted. And this slide kind of just shows some of what that could mean. And the measurement is from the property line, not from the home. So for example, in this example, you'll see that the red line is a sewer line down here, and the starred lot is the one we're considering. We have to take it from the very edge of the property line on the street, and you can see that in the right-hand side, it comes out to 295 feet. The required distance is 300, so this property would be required to connect. However, in this particular case, an exception would probably be granted because there's no existing sewer line in front of the home itself if the septic tank happens to fail. There's a huge impact for property owners when this occurs. So if there is a sewer lateral to your house, the average cost, according to DEQ, is about $20,000 per project. So if your septic tank suddenly fails and you're required to connect, it's a huge expense for most homeowners, particularly those that are low income, to have to bear all of a sudden. It's often unexpected because it's a sudden failure, or it's during a real estate transaction when you're trying to sell your home and all of a sudden you have to connect. It's not a common thing for people to go through because you usually only go through it once. So they're not used to the construction techniques, which usually include road closures and flagging and lots of boring and whatnot, as well as having to figure out which way it goes. The permits themselves are expensive. Currently, Clean Water Services average permit cost for a sewer connection is around $6,600 just for the permit. And it usually affects older homes. And as we know, in most of Washington County, those are usually occupied by people who are more elderly, less income. And so it hits them a little bit harder. So Clean Water Services partnered with my office, the Housing and Community Development Office, and my program, the Housing Rehab Program. My manager, Shannon, and I are the two people from my office that are overseeing this project. I'm overseeing all the logistics of it. Clean Water Services is overseeing the financial aspects. We did a geographical information systems analysis to find all the properties that would potentially have to connect. And we sent out a wave of letters. I'm sure some of you may have received them in the past week or so here. I certainly have received a lot of calls from your neighborhood. So I know that it's been received. We submitted an application to DEQ for the program for $2.7 million, hoping to do 108 projects. They awarded us $1 million, which equates out to about 30 projects when all is said and done. Eligible projects. We can do septic maintenance or repairs as part of it. We can decommission existing septic systems, and we can connect to the public sanitary sewer. Unfortunately, under this program, public line extensions were specifically called out as not being applicable for these cases. So we can't extend any public lines, but I can do everything from your property to the sewer line itself. Or we can, in certain cases, replace existing septic systems. How the program works. Households below 80% of the median family area income qualify for up to $25,000 as a grant. So not repayable, not a loan, it's just granted to them. And that's to connect to existing sewer line, repair an existing tank, replace an existing tank. Even people who are above 80% of the median family area income still qualify for a $5,000 grant to help them if they decide to connect now rather than wait till later. We're trying to encourage people so they don't come against that unexpected expense later. And we're trying to give them some financial aid if they'd like to do it now and to help out. Many of the houses that I've noticed are along waterways or wetlands. And that's where the sewer, where their septic tends to drain into, and their drain fields are connected. So it would also keep our public water systems cleaner as well. We are going to prioritize projects in areas where we can get multiple connections. So if I have 3 houses in a row that all want to connect, contractors tend to give discounts to those folks to make it more cost effective for them and for us. So we are prioritizing those folks. We are prioritizing low income households, and we're also prioritizing septic systems where they have failed and they constitute an environmental hazard. Contractor lists, we have several contractors who have registered with the county and Clean Water Services. So we've checked their CCB, we've checked their permitting status, we've checked their DEQ licensure to make sure that they're operating above board. The nice thing about this is the homeowner gets to select the contractor. The county is not involved in the selection of the contractor. We just provide a list of contractors who have passed muster to make sure that they're properly licensed and insured. So homeowners get to make their own selections. They get to choose who they want to work with, and they work with the contractor on the timeline. The county and Clean Water Services just act as the guarantor for the grant amount. I can provide support, I can inspect projects and ensure that the proper permits are on file for each of the projects, or I can take a more hands-off approach and just collect documentation at the end, whatever the homeowner prefers my level of involvement to be, but I am here to help if people need it or they want some extra comfort knowing that there's someone else kind of keeping an eye on things as well. When we did our needs-based analysis, we identified 1,200 properties, give or take, within the Clean Water Services boundary that are on septic systems. Approximately 1,100 of those are within 300 feet of a gravity main. 115 of those properties we found were in low to moderate income census blocks, where the entire census block shows that they're below 80% MFI on average. Our funding will support about 30 projects. I anticipate it'll probably be more than that, but if we just go the 25,000 for every single one, that's about what it'll work out to. This is a map of all the septic tanks that we had identified within the county. And yes, CPO 1 is well represented on that map. The blue dots are those within 50 feet of a gravity main. The green ones are between 50 and 300, and the pink ones are outside the 300 feet lines. So we did seriously consider where these were when we were doing our marketing to different neighborhoods, and that's one of the reasons I'm saying here talking to you today. The green areas here on the map, those are low income census blocks. So those are neighborhoods where the census shows that they are below 80% of the median family area income within Washington County. You'll note that there's a few north of the 26 there. There's a lot in downtown Beaverton, Hillsborough, and Cornelius and Eastern Forest Grove as well. Our schedule. So this program will operate until December of next year. I have to have all my funds spent by December of next year. I know it says December 31st, 2026, but I have to commit all my funds by June 30th, 2024. And they want all the projects done within that calendar year. So I will be taking applications. I'm currently taking applications all the way up until probably February, March, and assigning projects as they come in after our next round of award letters goes out. I sent the initial round of award letters out, let's see, about a week and a half ago now. And we've had several people accept and are moving forward on soliciting bids and getting their projects started. We decided to do kind of a soft opening and select the 8 individuals who were all low income and we're ready to proceed. So we're moving forward with them, and we're going to do our secondary round of award funding in October, on or about the 25th. And then I'll be reaching out to all the individuals at that point that qualified and moving them forward with their projects. After that point, it'll be a first come, first served, first applied, first served kind of basis that we'll be doing it on. That's a very broad overview of the program and what we're going to be doing. Are there any questions I can answer?
I was just going to mention that even though Cedar Mill and Bonnie Slope aren't considered to be low income areas, there are very definitely pockets.
Yes.
You know, the average or median income may be high, but there's a huge variety of folks around here. So
yes. Yeah. Just because an area doesn't show on the census block as low income doesn't mean that there aren't people that are low income within those areas. I know there's a large senior population in that area and in some of the other high income areas too, where they're on fixed incomes and they can't afford to take a sudden hit like that. And it would wipe out their savings that they're living on. We understand that. That's why we're trying to help offset that cost as much as we can. I see Fran has her hand up.
So my question, this is not so much for CPO1, but is across the county. So areas like Cooper Mountain, where there are a lot of septic systems, and they're now earmarked for the city of Beaverton. Are they going to be candidates under your situation, or are they going to be under Beaverton? And that would be also true of any, like CPO1, there are certain areas that might even get annexed or something in the future. So
Yes.
Just wanted to ask that question. Thank you for what you're doing. I love it.
We can work in any community. So we will do work in Tigard, Hillsborough, Beaverton, Forest Grove, Cornelius, anywhere. So we can do projects and approve projects in any section. The only place where this might become an issue, and this is something that I'll have conversations with homeowners in certain areas about, if your lot is marked for annexation into a city and we connect you to a public sewer and the city owns the sewer line, then your property probably will be annexed as part of that transaction. So that'll be part of what we converse about. We're taking this very seriously when we're looking at all these projects, and we know that each of these is very unique and there's lots of different circumstances. In certain cases, we may have to install pumps to get the sewer from your house up to where the nearest gravity main is. So yeah, we're taking all that into account, and those will be conversations that I have with homeowners, and we're trying to identify those things proactively so they're not a surprise when that portion comes up. And the nice thing is even if you apply, even if you're awarded, all the way up until you sign a contract with a contractor to get the work done, you can bow out and say, you know what, thank you very much. I'm okay. I'm deciding not to move forward. No harm, no foul. I'm happy to work with you and see what we can do to make it work. And I see someone from the subcommittee has a question.
Yeah, it's Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
I applied and I was accepted in the first round. My 32-year-old septic tank has served me well, but I fear the worst coming up for too long. I'm curious, once you sign a contract with an excavator to do the work, does the county or whoever has the money work directly with the contractor so that the financial payments are out of the homeowner's hands?
Aside from anything over and above the grant amount, yes, that's correct. The contractors understand and signed with us that they'll accept payment after the job is done. So if the grant covers the full amount, they should not be asking for anything up front from the homeowner. If it goes over the grant amount, then the homeowner is responsible for working with the contractor to figure out how they do that. Most of the contractors offer some sort of financing option if that's needed. But yeah, so far, and also I'm willing to take other contractors who haven't gone through the first round into the program. So if someone has a contractor they really like and they're not on my list, I'm happy to work with them and see if they want to be a participant in the program. And at the end, basically what you do is you get an invoice and you'd see the amount that the project was, and you'll see the grant amount subtracted from that, with any balance being what you would owe.
Great.
I was a bit distracted at times, and I didn't care whether you actually addressed this, but what is the problem that this is meant to solve, aside from just wanting to tidy things up? Are there groundwater issues?
So
that would be my first guess.
Yeah, that's part of it. A lot of septic systems are still along creek sides or the Tualatin River or whatnot, and their drain fields empty into those public bodies of water. So we'd like to try and tie those up if we can. The other part is the more people that are on sanitary sewer, the less problems we would have on each individual property as well, because when a septic system fails, it can be pretty ugly. I've seen several now, and it's never a good experience. But that being said, yeah, this is part of what that's trying to solve, and it's also trying to solve the financial aspect of it, or at least help with that aspect of it for these folks who ultimately probably will have to connect in the future when they sell their home, or if their septic system fails and they're not able to get a permit for replacement because of the Oregon state regulations. We're giving them the opportunity to be proactive and say, hey, you know what, let's get this done now rather than worry about it later, because the county's coming forward with some money to help us out.
I think it's a great program. Before development happened around my old house, I had a corrugated pipe that led from the tank down to the drain field, and it got clogged, and nobody really wants a bunch of septic material on their driveway.
No.
So be proactive, people. Get this taken care of before you have to deal with that. Well, I don't see that we have our school person yet, and I don't see the other person that Justin was expecting.
Oh, can I bring up one more thing that I think would be interesting for folks?
Please take as much time as you like.
These are the low income limits for Washington County. So that first column there, if you make less than that, that qualifies you as a low income individual within the county based upon the number of people in your household.
We do have a question from the attendees. Trout Joe.
I'm here.
Oh,
yeah.
You go.
Go ahead.
No, that is the Beaverton School District Closed for Kids presenter.
I didn't understand what you just said.
That's the next presenter, Virginia.
Okay. Yeah. Joe, go ahead.
No, she is the presenter for Closed for Kids.
Oh, got it. Okay, good. I will promote you. I'm sorry. Bruce, your voice is muffled and I missed up what you were saying. Would you like to take a moment and introduce the folks that are at Cedar Grove if they want to be introduced?
Well,
or they can introduce themselves.
We have a belly crew of largely regulars here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they to introduce themselves or not, but this is the room, and there is the lovely mural at the Cedar Grove community room.
Excellent.
We got John Blackman here. Anybody else want to state your name into the container of this?
You're welcome to stay anonymous if you want, but you know, I'm so glad to see that we're getting live people in the place. And we do, again, profusely apologize for abandoning things last month.
Well, so I'll introduce the Closed for Kids project. When my daughter, can you hear me okay? Is the voice coming through reasonably well?
I can hear you.
Yeah, it is now.
Good. When I was, when my daughter was going to the Findlay Elementary School, I was part of the parent-teacher organization. And any man who is part of the parent-teacher organization is probably the only man who is there. And so I was the PTO guy for 6 years. And I was immediately taken by the Beaverton School District's clothes closet at that time. The name got changed to the Clothes for Kids, and managed the yearly rotation of each elementary school needed to send somebody, a crew, to the clothes closet to run it. And there is the sorting room where all of the clothes are donated clothes are stored. And then there is the retail room where families come in and get the clothes. And I discovered I had such a tender heart that it was very difficult for me to work in the retail portion without being reduced to sort of happy tears. And so I stay in the sorting room where I'm just looking at all the clothes that come through. I think that that is enough of the personal touch on introducing this, and I will turn it over to Joanna Trout to explain the program and how you can volunteer.
Thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate the time. For some reason, my video just stopped, so I don't know if.
No, I did it. I'm sorry. I will undo
That's
it.
okay. I will continue to talk though. So yeah, I coordinate. My name is Joanna Trout, and I have coordinated the adult-based volunteer program for the school district for close to 23 years. And Clothes for Kids, which used to be Clothes Closet, is part of that program. Last school year, we had I don't know if a banner year is a good way to put it, but last school year, we served over 3,000 visits. That's not necessarily unique students, but that was the number of times families came to shop at Clothes for Kids. The program focuses on students who are enrolled in attending a Beaverton school. So it's a Beaverton pre-K program up to 12th grade. So the program takes new and gently used clothing from 4T up to adult triple extra large. So we serve a huge range of sizes because we serve a huge range of students from all walks of life, and which represents all sizes. Previously, we were in 2 portables that were the oldest portables in the district. So they had some serious issues with heating. There was either it was freezing in there or it was too hot. And it was also a dry portable. So there was no water or bathroom facilities. But this year we were able to move into new portables at the same address. And they are amazing at this point. We have water. We have pretty much triple the floor space, which, Bruce, when you come to see it, you'll be amazed at how large it is. We have a dedicated area for our shoes, dedicated area for our coats. Everything, as much as possible, is out on display. At this point, that move, again, we had the other big plus, because the new portables are plumbed for water. We actually have washer and dryer on site, which has been, again, a tremendous addition to the program. With the move in the larger space, we are able to serve 5 families per appointment. That is a significant change for us. The only way the program was able to open during the pandemic was to go to a appointment-based system, because previously it was pretty much first come, first serve, which was not something we could sustain during the pandemic. However, moving to an appointment-based process, we are actually serving more families in a more respectful way, because we're able to just focus on a smaller number of people to make sure that we're finding their needs. The appointments are 45 minutes long, and volunteers will then help families come in, let them know what they can take, and then help them through that process. The program is now open 3 days a week. We're open on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 9:30 and 3. And on Wednesdays, it's 9:30 to 6. With the larger space, we have kind of a double-edged challenge in the sense that we have a lot in our sorting room is a little bit smaller, but what we're finding is that it's easier to see where our gaps are. Right now, we're having a serious need of winter coats and warm like outerwear. Again, all sizes and ranges. But right now, what we're seeing, one of the bigger gaps is actually in the adult men's in terms of the outerwear. Those can be gently used or new. We're also noticing a serious need of shoes for the younger students from anywhere from size 11 to youth size 4-6. And socks and underwear are also a big need because socks and underwear have to be new. So that is a big challenge for our program right now to get enough of that going. I see a hand raised there. There's a couple of things again for the program that we have a need for. Again, is the donations of the winter clothing. We're also in serious need of volunteers because we're open again that 3 days a week. That does become a bit of a challenge to get a steady stream of volunteers. If there's interest, people would just need to go to the district's website and submit our volunteer and background check application. Those come to me and I am the one that processes those and will then match you with Clothes for Kids and get you signed up for opportunities if you're interested. In addition to donations of clothing, the program also does take financial donations. And we are in an extremely unique situation in that 100% of the financial donations that are given to Clothes for Kids are invested into the program to purchase those high need, high demand items. Our funds are processed through the district, but there is no overhead or processing fee that the district takes. So 100% of the financial donations do come into the program. And I think I just talked very quickly, but any questions or any additional resources I can share? And Bruce can share those. And one thing actually I would step back. I think one of the other very unique and meaningful pieces of volunteering at Clothes for Kids is that it is a direct service. If you're volunteering in the sorting room, that is a direct need because you are looking at the donations that come in. We have an extremely generous community. And I will say that the rebranding of Clothes for Kids from just Clothes Closet, our tagline is Clothes for Kids from a community that cares. And so it just kind of shows we have a very generous community, but processing the donations to see what we can take versus what we're unable to accept. Some of the things that we're unable to accept are things like very adult wear. We look at items in terms of how is it worn? Is it stained? Are there holes or tears? Or is it just truly something that a 16-year-old is not going to wear? Because, I say, it screams mom wear. So we need that support in our sorting room, but then we also need that support working with families, helping them find what they're looking for, helping them check out in that sense. The program is a little bit different in the sense that we don't tell families what they will take. What we do is we put limits on certain things. Like, for example, you can only get one heavy winter coat. You could get potentially up to 3 sweatshirts if you would like, or 5 t-shirts. So we do it more on a limited high demand item piece. It's only 3 pair of socks and only 1 pair of shoes. But, again, like you can take 5 t-shirts or 5 long sleeve shirts in that sense. So there's that. If you want, like Bruce was saying, if you want to be in the sorting room, there's options there for you. Or if you want to work with families, again, very direct service, there's options for you there as well. So any questions?
Johanna, I put a bunch of stuff in the chat, partly from the article that Bruce wrote. But I also wanted to make you aware, and I'm not sure you knew, that I'm going to be at the Cedar Mill Farmers Market on Saturday promoting the Cider Festival, but we decided we could take clothing donations and Bruce will get them to the center. So I put that information into the chat. And if you want to take a look and make sure I'm not giving out bad information, but it was all in an article in Cedar Mill News. I might as well post a link to the article.
That was, actually, I have to say you have a very good readership because I had about 5 people forward that to me. So you have a good readership
Yes,
on
we
that
do.
because I had
Yes,
a
we
lot
do.
of folks. That was,
And they're used to taking action when they read an article. I love
yes,
it.
yes, I was very impressed with that. I would also say that there is a new contact for Clothes for Kids. And when I'm done presenting, I will type that into the chat so you have that information. Her name's Kara Young. And she's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know, Kara, she'll be doing some of the day-to-day Clothes for Kids. I'll still be involved.
Great.
She's going to be the primary
That's
contact.
wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, Fran had a question. Fran?
Yeah, I'm trying, I was just trying to unmute, sorry. So I grew up in poverty, to say the least, and all of my clothes were donated. And I remember when those boxes would arrive of clothes, I was just so excited because I could wear something different to school than I had worn the whole school year so far. So I would say that as long as they're conservative clothes, but not old lady clothes or old men's clothes, you'd be surprised at how grateful students are to get something new to wear to school. New meaning, meaning that it's something better than what they've been wearing every day. The other thing is, so I had 2 other questions, which was, I have a lot of comforters that are, I'm downsizing and I really would like to bring those somewhere, and I haven't been able to find a place to donate those kinds of things. And I don't know if the families who come in need anything other than just
Clothes for Kids. We focus pretty much on clothing, with the exception of we will do books and sometimes small miscellaneous items. Excuse me, Clothes for Kids is not set up to be able to deal with like things like bedding or any kind of housewares. However, we're now located next to the McKinney-Vento program, and it's possible that they might be able to take. So that's our homes program.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to reach out, there's some possibilities that they can use those items. And so we wouldn't necessarily turn them away, because we do also have a way to pass on items that we can't use. And they would be our first choice to say, hey, is this something that you can use? And I appreciate what you're saying as well, because I also had some issues growing up as well. And one of the things for me that's very important is that we're very respectful for the students and families that come in. That's why we operate on very much a choice-based system. So we're not choosing clothing for them. It's the students get to choose.
They get to shop.
It is a full shopping experience, including, shopping bags. That's another thing that we all are always looking for, are department store shopping bags with handles. Grocery store shopping bags are a little bit more of a challenge, but because I'm like going, I will never have a child leave the program with their clothes in a garbage bag. That is never going to happen. If we have to buy the bags, we're going to buy the bags, but they're going, it's a shopping experience that they can choose their clothing. And that's also with the sorting processes, that we're making sure that the clothes are clean. They don't have holes in them. They don't have, it's something that is.
Unless they're those holy jeans that the kids love to wear.
That's sometimes I have to bite my tongue on that, because you're right. Sometimes it's like, is it a pre-planned hole, or is it an intentional hole?
I do have, oh, sorry. You said department stores. I have a lot of reusable bags that are washed and they're clean. So would I be able to donate those too? Because
you would.
Okay.
We're trying, we would definitely take them. We're trying to encourage families to, because a lot of us are in that shopping mode of bringing your own bags. And so some families are starting to do that, but yes, if you have shopping bags, that is a need that we have as well.
Okay.
And if you're bringing stuff to the farmer's market, please bring it in a bag or multiple bags, because then we won't have to scramble for boxes and stuff.
Yeah. The last question is, I do have, pardon me, some Timbers and Thorns gear. So I don't know how the clothes closet works in terms of, things that have emblems, or what do you call it? Some schools are very reluctant for allowing children to wear anything that has any kind of insignia. are timbers or thorns things okay or not?
Those are because there's some, yeah, we do have in the sorting process, we do talk about being very aware of logos and images in terms of, no alcohol, tobacco, sexual innuendo. And we do look at some of those logos that could be potentially gang kind of like logo or stuff. Like timbers and thorns, they're not right now something that we would be worried about. But we also have something we call our like free room or bonus room, which is an area where we might put some of those things that they're just kind of like an extra, like it's a bonus item kind of. Everything in the program is free. So, but it's just the idea of a free room might be odd, but what it is are just some of exactly what you're talking about. We get a lot of things from Nike and Columbia Sportswear, and sometimes we'll get boxes of several hundred t-shirts that are a specific, charity run that we then just put in our, bonus, and they just disappear that way. So it's not a
Right.
count against as an item, because it is something that might be an extra large t-shirt that someone's going to wear to bed kind of a thing. So just in that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Bruce,
Yeah,
Or-
I would like to find out if feminine hygiene supplies are provided through the clothes closet.
We don't, mostly because those are now available at the school level.
So the school health clinics provide them?
Yes. It's available at the school level. So
Good.
yeah, but that said, anything like that, and then also any feminine hygiene products or like diapers or whatnot, we would give to the McKinney-Vento program. We would definitely pass those. We work closely with them in terms of what, if we get something that we can't use, but they can, we will then, we're in it together in that sense. And so, and feminine hygiene products would be something that they would need and be able to distribute.
Indeed. Could you put a link to that in the chat before you sign off?
To the McKinney, I would have to think about that. It would be, that could be easily accessed through the district website, looking at the McKinney-Vento program.
Bento?
McKinney-Vento.
Bento, okay.
Yes, Vento. Mhm.
yeah.
You might be able to just type
Right.
in Thomas program.
When we first heard from you guys, you were particularly looking, and I just put this in the chat, for shoes for elementary students size 11 to 4
Yes.
and coat size 7 and up.
Yes. Mhm. That is very true. And so,
Okay.
yeah, I would say actually just kind of in context, so far this school year, we've only been open for 5 weeks, and we've already distributed over 15,000 items of clothing.
Wow.
That's not an error on my part. That's 15,000, and that's what we have given to families, not just what's already passed through the program. So
Every kid deserves to feel good when they walk in the school.
yeah,
Every kid.
Actually, families that walk in now who've already been, we're at our old location, they walk in are just very happy at the new and verbally say how impressed they are and how nice the place looks. It's a huge positive improvement. So I
Wonderful.
encourage you, if you want to stop by, please
Wonderful.
do. And thank you very much for giving me this time. I will take any opportunity to talk about clothes for kids. So
Thank you for
giving me
doing
the
this work
opportunity.
and helping these kids.
So awesome.
All right.
Well,
Well,
thank you
we're
very much.
catching up to our schedule here. The Tualatin Valley Water District update. Let's see, remove your pen. I have David and Justin. Is that right?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Virginia. My name is Justin Dyke with Tualatin Valley Water District. I'm joined with David Marciniak, who's one of our communication colleagues on the project for the Willamette water supply. So I think David will pull up a slide or so here to share with the group. And I just wanted to also start off by giving a quick service provider update that I was going to share earlier. We are starting our seasonal flushing program. It'll start in the areas of CPO 1 and 7. What that is during the fall season, we typically get out some of our field crews, and we do proactive water system flushing to essentially just remove some natural sediment buildup from the water mains. We work from the largest water mains down to the smallest ones. So if you do see our operators in the area flowing some water, typically out from a hydrant through a hose that reduces the pressure and dechlorinates the water. That's what we're doing. We're doing some water quality system flushing. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up today is because we're now entering a 2-year window between now and when the Willamette Water Supply Project will be ready to commission and integrate into our regular water system. So within this 2-year window, it's a very compressed period where we will do proactive water system flushing for our entire district. It just so happens this season we'll be starting up at the top of the West Hills, working our way down toward the Aloha Valley floor, and we'll have another crew at the other end of the valley up at Cooper Mountain, starting at the top of the hill and working their way back down again. So that's kind of one of the things folks will start seeing here soon. And without further ado, we'll do a quick update on what the Willamette Water Supply program is and what TVWD's involvement is with it. So the Willamette Water Supply Program is a project that's built to essentially construct a brand new water supply for Washington County. It's going to be earthquake resilient. It'll be an alternative source during drought years, and it's a lot of other really great things you can see on this slide. It's a partnership between us at Tualatin Valley Water District, the cities of Hillsborough, and the city of Beaverton. Taking on a project of this scale really is only possible because of our partners. A project of this scale is bigger than any one entity. So by doing this as a team, we're able to share some of the cost and responsibility burdens as well, provide this water to all of the communities in Washington County. We talk a lot about the seismic hazards of the Northwest. There's a lot of known things going on with seismology in our area, but a lot of it boils down to, as you can see on this slide, our area is prone for an earthquake sometime in the next 50 years. It will be a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. And that would produce a magnitude of about a 9.0 earthquake on the upper scale. So everything that we are building with the Willamette Water Supply Program is intended to have survivability and or extremely fast repairability for after that 9.0 earthquake. Water is incredibly important to the economies and the livelihoods and daily life for folks in CPO1 and all of Washington County. And the faster our potable water systems are restored following an earthquake event like that, the faster we can begin restoring life back to normal. So quick overview, you can see this slide here down at the bottom left corner where the Willamette River is near Wilsonville. That's where the raw water intake is. It is just west of the I-5 bridge by a little bit, and raw water will be transported, or I should say pumped up to the water treatment plant and water filtration systems up in the city of Sherwood at number 2 there. And then water will continue north through 30 miles of large transmission pipeline all the way to our what we call interties, but essentially areas for our 3 partners where that water will then go from the storage supply tanks at the top of Cooper Mountain that are currently being constructed and enter into our individual water systems. For Tualatin Valley Water District, that'll be near the corner of 209th and Farmington Road in Aloha. In the future, we will extend an intake further north on Cornelius Pass Road up to Corn Pass and Highway 26. And we will have another intertie over in the Metzger area that will bring water into CPO1, CPO7, kind of through the Cedar Mill area over down by Center Street. All right, program schedule. David, do you want to take over a little bit from here? This is a bit more of your expertise than it is mine.
Sure, you bet. Thanks for having us tonight. So as Justin was talking about, the inception of this program goes back many years. So this kind of shows the evolution of the planning stage of everything that we're working on. So there you see our in-service date, July 2026, and the different phases working through that permitting, real estate, currently in construction, and making our way rapidly through construction. So you see a lot of signs of what we're doing out there on the roads, I know, and some of our other areas, Sherwood in particular, new water treatment plant that Justin referenced going in down there, which is, a brand new facility for the project partners. So it takes a lot of time to plan all this out and bring it to life. So this is a good way to kind of look at how it has all evolved since the program was kind of defined in those early years back in 2013, and even in water resource planning going back before that several years. Because as we said, planning a project of this magnitude does take quite a bit of time and coordination. So that kind of shows you the complexity of all the different moving elements of it. Now, progress-wise, we're seeing a rapid completion. We're kind of at the height of our construction right now. So this walks you through the different elements there. The water intake facilities right now, more than 54% done. And actually, I should status that. I think that has even climbed a bit more. That's probably more along 70%. Water treatment plant currently about 16% complete. So that's the project that just began about a year and a half ago down in Sherwood. Pipelines about 65% complete right now, but we're at the height of construction. Currently, there are, I think it's 15 different individual projects going on across the area. So a lot of that is the pipeline projects going on, as well as the water treatment plant, and then some little bit of work down at the intake, and then the water tank up on Cooper Mountain, sitting about 56% complete right now. So making some good headway there. I'll touch on briefly a little bit what we call that Metzger Pipeline East part of the project. So I'll just spend a couple slides here on that and then wrap up with a couple general information, pieces of information we'd like to share. And then we can take some questions. So that Metzger Pipeline East project was a partnership. And what happened there was the project partners needed to find a way to get water eastward. So they looked at a few different routes and settled on this Shoals Ferry kind of alignment, and then coming up into Allen Boulevard and utilizing Western Avenue up to Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. And by doing that, they were able to realize some cost savings by partnering with Tualatin Valley District. Already had a need to plan their own pipeline along a large section of this up Hall Boulevard and then up part of Shoals Ferry. So they were able to realize some cost savings by combining that pipeline need with the Willamette Water Supply Systems pipeline need. And then on top of that, partner with the city of Beaverton to kind of combine those three ideas, because city of Beaverton has their own needs for some water infrastructure. So much of this Metzger Pipeline East is installing dual pipelines for more than half of the route that you see here on that slide. And that equates to about 3.2 miles of the smaller diameter for city of Beaverton, which is that 16-inch, and then that larger diameter, which is that 48-inch. So that's about 6.8 miles in total. And then a 24-inch pipeline up Hall Boulevard, which equates to about a half mile up that roadway to complete that whole new kind of infrastructure improvement. A lot of tunnels for this work. So we've got a few waterways as well as Highway 217 there, which is a major planning consideration to get across that congested corridor. A lot of collaboration with ODOT, need to mention them. They've been a huge project supporter and collaborator just to make sure we're all fitting within these same construction areas as efficiently as we can and keeping things moving as much as we can feasibly do. I think really our driver is getting things done as safely and quickly as possible. So that certainly is something for this project in particular, with all the complexities we want to make sure we're realizing. The different elements, 3 phases of construction for the Metzger Pipeline East, lasting into 2024. So we're getting there, almost done with 2023. Yep.
I'll jump in really quick on this one. I know folks in CPO 1 might be wondering why we're highlighting, a pipe that takes water up from Roy Rogers Road over to the Metzger area. I'd like to just explain that is that this pipeline section, this part of the project is absolutely critical for how we will serve water after this project is commissioned, because this water will go from its origination point and through this 48-inch pipeline up to Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, where it will then enter an existing TVWD large transmission main, and it will then enter in through our existing pump stations and pressure systems and reservoirs, and it will find its way through this pipeline up to the top of the West Hills, where we do have reservoirs at multiple locations up in the West Hills. And that water will then begin flowing through with gravity back down to all the homes of everyone in CPO1. So while you might think, why are these guys talking to me so much about these pipelines in Metzger that are seemingly far away from the CPO1 area and where y'all live? This is one of the most critical sections of pipe for this project in the eyes of TVWD, because without this, or I should say with this pipeline, is really the key to how we will get water to the West Hills in the future. So we're really excited about this project, really excited about the future of once Metzger Pipeline East is completed, and with the treatment plant, the way we'll be able to serve water to the CPO1 community. So I'll let you take it from there again, David.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an important thing to highlight for sure. So overall, making good progress heading into 2024, and we'll be wrapping up a lot of construction, and that tie-in particular is some of that construction. So that's at Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. That's one of the last activities they'll be doing up on that northern section, and they're still scheduling the date on that, but I think tentatively sometime in the upcoming couple quarters. Just want to mention it kind of higher, which is a couple great ways for people to learn more. So our traffic impacts we do out there, we like to educate the masses through a few different ways. So we utilize a trip check system. So it's an ODOT tool. So we enter all of our traffic impacts into this. And then what that does is it goes up on the ODOT websites. But in concert with that, it feeds into a lot of the smartphone applications that are out there, Waze and Google Maps, and some of the other apps that are used on smartphones. So it's a great tool for us to push information out on traffic impacts. And then as well, we have a 1610 AM frequency that we utilize, which we have some traffic information. It's a City of Beaverton radio beacon, but it broadcasts throughout a very large area, including CPO1. I've tested it myself, and it almost reaches into Portland, actually. So it's kind of interesting to know. So that's another way we put information out, as well as just individualized education. Anytime we're impacting people, we try to get out there and just talk about it and let people know. A couple great ways otherwise, our project website. So if you haven't been to the ourreliablewater.org website, it's a great tool. It's got a lot of backstory on all of the projects for the Willamette water supply system, as well as you're seeing here that Metzger Pipeline East page in particular, to learn a little bit more information. That's really the core of what we had to present. I've got some other information I could share, but we'll see what questions we might have.
Absolutely. Let's take some questions.
I have a question.
Okay, we've got a question here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Say no?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Just so I'm not real clear, is this actually going to be a supplement to our existing water system, or is it going to end up being our main water system, or kind of how is that all going to work?
Right. So it will be a replacement of one of our two current sources. So right now, TVWD customers are served a combination of water from the Joint Water Commission, I should say, which is another co-owned project with multiple providers in Washington County. That's water from Hag Lake and Barney Reservoir on the Coast Mountain Range, all rainwater fed. And TVWD customers are also served water from the Portland Water Bureau. That's purchased wholesale. In 2026, the TVW contract to purchase water from the city of Portland will end, and that is timed with the integration of the Willamette Water Supply Program water. So it will be a replacement. Water from this project will replace the current contractual water that we purchased through the Portland Water Bureau. It's a project that we've been looking at for a long time because the Portland Water Bureau does have a lot of increase in costs to their wholesalers, as well as a lot of aging infrastructure. And this is an opportunity for us and our other partners with Hillsborough and Beaverton to not only then own the rights to the water and own the system, but then also have a new system that has all of these seismic ratings that are what we think are so valuable for our community moving forward.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in and say that I really appreciate the Tualatin Valley Water District starting this project 10 or 15 years ago, trying to raise Hag Lake to get the water. When that didn't pan out, you took the responsibility of providing water to this to the Washington County very seriously, and the Willamette River was really the only practical source. And there's tremendous headwinds against using the Willamette River, but you've persevered, and TVWD does bear the primary financial responsibility for constructing this. So the other partners can be just literally, additional in the room, but TVWD is the one who really has to deal with the financial impact of the inflation and the length of time that it takes to construct it, which causes prices to go up. I'm curious, you mentioned Portland's rising costs of water and the Spumodian, I think that's Spumodian treatment plant is one of those costs. Does the Tualatin Valley Water District treat for Spumodium? And you could correct my pronunciation on that.
First of all, Bruce, thank you for the kind words. Always appreciate it. Right now, Portland's water supply is unfiltered. It is treated with a disinfectant, and it does not always work on Cryptosporidium. And our connections to the Portland system are direct connections, so we do not supplement their treatment in any way. So that is another advantage. Portland is being required to build a new treatment plant to resolve that issue. It is looking at completion somewhere in the years after our Willamette Water Supply project would be completed. Now, the treatment plant we're building in Sherwood would absolutely treat for Cryptosporidium and would resolve us of these issues in the future. The treatment plant is state-of-the-art with, I believe, 4 different stages of treatment that would resolve not just crypto issues, but a lot of other, not just current issues, but future issues with unknown contaminants and unregulated contaminants that our water quality team are always monitoring in raw water, source water, and so forth. And the other thing we should really mention with that is with the Portland project being a significant cost driver, one of the reasons we bring that up is because it's expected of Portland's wholesale customers to share the burden of capital project costs. And that's one of the reasons that as we looked at what Portland's cost would be to build their treatment plant, we were able to partner with Hillsborough and Beaverton and decide to do this ourselves at a lower cost and a more financially responsible manner for our customers. So as far as the crypto stuff goes, yep, it'll handle that just fine. And in case anyone's wondering about the raw water at or near our intake facilities, the city of Wilsonville has been using the same intake facility that we will be sharing with them for, I believe, in the neighborhood of 15 years now to serve water to their residents and the residents in the city of Sherwood. So I always encourage folks, if you are concerned about the source water from the Willamette River, given its reputation in downtown Portland, take a look over at the city of Wilsonville or the city of Sherwood's websites. They have their annual water quality reports, same, or it's not same, I should say, very similar reports to what TBWD and other water utilities put out every year, detailing all of the water quality parameters in their source water. They've been serving water for 15 or more years with high levels of success of customer satisfaction of water. So there's a lot to be said about the status of the Mid-Willamette River near Wilsonville.
Another question. Given our current water usage now, you know, like with watering yards and things like that, how do you think our water supply is looking in the future with given climate change and increasing drought and things like that?
I think there's a lot of things to make us feel pretty confident in our water supply, given that we've got the variety of sources. So we've got the rainwater fed water in Barney Reservoir, and we can augment that with the Willamette River, which is water and rainwater and snowmelt from the Cascade Range. So we're able to rely on water sources from different areas of our larger water system in the Portland area. And one is, you know, water stored in lake reservoirs. The other one is an active river. So through a diversity of sources, we're able to feel very confident in what our future water supply looks like for the next 100 years for TBWD and for Washington County. But having said that, we are always encouraging people to use water efficiently and wisely. We're always encouraging folks to monitor their water consumption when they get their regular water bills and check for any abnormalities that might point to any leaks in their plumbing or irrigation systems or anything like that. So while we do feel confident, we are always actively encouraging conservation and efficient use wherever possible.
I'd like to bring up the elephant in the room, which I continually get comments from my readers and my neighbors about the high cost of water in our area. And I keep explaining to them that they may have come from cities where their city tax, where the water was just folded into that, or the infrastructure costs of their water at least were folded into city taxes. And their actual water bill might have been low because all that infrastructure cost was folded in. And I mean, I'm constantly trying to explain that. Is that correct? And I just shared a link that I found on your website about the program costs. I think people need to know that, you know, because most of us live in urban unincorporated Washington County, we have to pay the line items that bring us our water. We don't have some overarching tax that takes care of it. And I want to make sure I'm telling people the correct thing, but I'd love to get your viewpoints on all of that.
Yeah, Virginia, you're definitely right about much of that. I won't speak in any great detail to how any other cities around the area, state, or further do their budgeting for their water department. But as TBWD is a special district, you're absolutely correct. We don't get any other assistance. We don't get tax revenue. We do apply for a lot of grants, and we do ask the federal government and the state government for assistance whenever we can. I would love to tell you about all the successes we've had, but we look a lot more like an amateur baseball player right now, swinging and missing at some of these grants. But we will do our darndest to continue to apply for them. We've had some success with FEMA grants for improving a lot of our infrastructure that was in need of seismic upgrades. So we do pursue those when available. I think the comments we get a lot that stick to my mind quickly are folks who've moved to our area up here from the Southwest and have made comments about the cost of water in Arizona as an example. But we can directly attribute a lot of the low cost of water in a place like Arizona to a lot of federal infrastructure projects from the 40s, 50s, and 60s to build the lakes and the hydraulic systems that now contribute to how the water arrives to residents in Phoenix and so forth at a much lower cost than those residents would have had to pay for. I think that's a pretty stark example, though, of different areas, different costs. And one other thing we do like to remind folks of is that if you used to live in an area with really low water bills, that means there's a chance your water utility was not properly reinvesting in your public water system. So we do have a very active capital program here at TVWD. We are definitely spending a lot of money contributing to the $1.6 billion project. We do share some of those costs with our other partners at Hillsborough and Beaverton. And we do have a lot of in-district capital projects. We'll be replacing a couple of older reservoirs on Taylor's Ferry Road and 65th Avenue in Metzger in the next 2 years. We'll be replacing a couple reservoirs and pump stations in the Cooper Mountain area on Southwest 189th Avenue in the next couple of years. All facilities that were built in the mid to late 60s and are at the end of their expected lifespan mechanically and just need to be replaced. There are elements of infrastructure around our water system that are just at that age where the time is now to replace them before they fail and before we get too dangerously close to any kind of seismic event that could jeopardize the safety of the public water system. So we don't shy away from the fact that our rates have gone up quite a lot. The last couple of years of inflation have done nothing to help that. But we do try and remind folks that what you're paying for today and your cost of your water is setting up not only the next generation, but the generation after that to have a safe and resilient public water system that will provide water for the next 100 years. All of our projects right now, including the Willamette Water Supply Program, are slated to have 100-year or longer lifespans. I don't plan on being alive 100 years from now, but I hope that maybe I'll have grandchildren if that's the way life works out, and they can experience a safe and resilient water system from the fruits of the labor and the folks paying for the water bills today. And Virginia, you're on mute still.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Thanks very much. Will our area get that Willamette water, or will we continue to get the Bull Run water that's piped under the river?
So your area in CPO1 will get a mixture likely of Willamette water or I should say mostly Willamette water, but there is a chance you will get some water from the Joint Water Commission, which is Barney Reservoir on the Coast Mountain Range and the Tillamook Forest. So it kind of depends more exactly where in CPO1 any one person would live. CPO1
we're just downhill from that big tank that I think holds water that comes over from, well, I had to learn a little bit about this when there was some issue with Portland water. And it turned out that the water we get from Bull Run doesn't go through Portland. It bypasses and comes straight to us. And I had to learn a little bit about it.
Yeah, so that water will go through a couple of the really large reservoirs in the city of Portland, and then it enters what we call the Washington County supply line, which enters our area under Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. And then it zigs and zags its way up, essentially up toward the top of the West Hills and to the top of Cooper Mountain. Now, the other thing I should say is that when the Willamette Water Supply Program is online and commissioned, that water will follow the pathway of MPE, Metzger Pipeline East. You can see that on the screen, that dotted green line. It will follow that green line up Shoals Ferry Road and toward the north. And as well, that's how water will enter our service territory from the eastern side. The Joint Water Commission water enters from the western side at the areas of Corn Pass Road and Highway 26 and on TV Highway down near 75th Avenue, which is just in that same area. So we tend to have water sources that are entering our service territory from both directions, which is another point of resiliency that we take great pride in, is that we can serve our territory from multiple directions at any point in time. So, and it's also worth noting that the finished water that will come out of the new treatment plant will blend and interact with the Joint Water Commission water very nicely. That is a target of ours, is to make sure that in the future, the two water sources complement each other. We do have an area typically around CPO1 right now that we call our blend zone, which is where the Portland water, Bull Run water enters and commingles with the Joint Water, JWC water. And currently those two water chemistries can occasionally make a taste or odor sensation for some very sensitive customers that can be unpleasant. The water is still safe to drink. It's absolutely passes all of its water quality samples, but it just has a little bit of a commingling between the two types of disinfections. One's a chloramine, one's a free chlorine. Anything more scientific than that, and I will need to go find a scientist who works at our office to answer those questions. But the finished water from the future treatment plant is going to be much more, I should say, commingle friendly, much more blendable with the current water system and the pH of the water that we have in the system today.
I'm one of those sensitive people, and I have a home filter on my kitchen sink. Not that there's a darn thing wrong with the water I get from you guys, but I do smell and taste the chlorine. So, and I mean, I understand why it's there, and I don't think it's hurting me, but I'm, anyway. And, if people do have that issue, get yourself a filter because they work too.
Yep. And always, if you think you're receiving that water from what we call the blend zone right now, you can always contact us directly. I can put our phone number in the chat, and our water quality team has a direct email address to our specialists who track all of our water quality parameters. Where we gather hundreds of test tubes of our water every week. They're sent off to a third-party lab and analyzed for all the chemical makeups of the water. And they're reviewed, and we are able to track a lot of data through that water quality sampling to see exactly how well our water system's performing, what the water age is, what the chlorine residual is, what the fluoride levels are in the water, everything.
Wow.
So there's a lot of information that for folks who are really sensitive, I always encourage, reach out. You never know. We probably do have a sample station near your neighborhood somewhere that we could look into that sample station's historical water quality data and tell you everything.
Well, water is life. If you want bad tasting water, go to Cannon Beach, man. We have to take bottled water with us when we go visit the beach. Are there any other questions or issues that people would like to bring up? This has really been a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having us, Virginia. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
For jumping in. We've been trying to get our state senator to come and visit us since January, and I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it doesn't seem like she values us as constituents very much. She said we might be able to get her in December. So we'll see. All right. Well, thanks very much. If no, let's see. I did have something else on my agenda. No, I didn't. We were going to do an update on the CPO, CCI business, but there's really nothing to report at this point. So please, if you're interested in that, keep an eye on the Board of County Commissioners work session, October 3. Everyone is welcome to attend the CCI meeting. You may not be able to, well, everybody can speak. Bruce, do you want to, what date is that? That's a week from today, right?
It is a week from today, yes. If you're passionately interested in some of the subject matters, it would be an interesting meeting. If you were just curious, it might be a little laborious to sit through.
Yeah, but if you're interested, that's something we're going to be discussing. So I think with that, we can conclude and leave early. It's nice to have a little extra time so that our presenters can give us a full presentation. So with that, I will end the meeting. Good night, all.